Lahinch and the wider golfing community are mourning the loss of Robert McCavery, who passed away peacefully last weekend. A PGA Professional and honorary life member of Lahinch Golf Club, Robert devoted more than 5 decades of his life to the famous links, continuing a remarkable family association with the club that stretched back almost a century. Through his work, his love of golf and his warm friendship with generations of members and visitors, he became very much a cherished part of the fabric of Lahinch. And Robert McCavery's funeral mass will take place at the Church of the Immaculate Conception, Lahinch, this morning at 11 a.m, with burial afterwards in Kilmacreehy Cemetery. He's survived by his wife and daughter Rachael and son Robert. And to reflect on Robert's life, his contribution to the club and the legacy he leaves behind, I'm joined by Lahinch Club historian Father Enda Glynn. Enda, thank you so much for being with us this morning.
Thank you, Alan.
Robert McCavery, the reaction, what has it been like in Lahinch and the wider community to the news of his passing?
One great sadness, because he was a wonderful servant of the Lahinch Golf Club, a wonderful servant, did his work quietly and unostentatiously, and was much appreciated by the members, visitors all across the world. But I think to understand him, really, you have to think first of his father. In 1927, his father left Newcastle, County Down, invited by William O'Dwyer from the Sunbeam Woolsey factory to be professional at Lahinch. And he made a long journey from Newcastle to Lahinch in 1927. And his first job was to implement the new Mackenzie plan for the golf course. All 18 holes were developed on the central side of the links. And that was first Bill's job. And he served the club faithfully as professional from 1927 to 1987.
And yeah, that's an incredible length of service, and that's his father Bill worked alongside the Mackenzie you mentioned as the legendary golf course architect Alistair Mackenzie, and they worked in redesigning the course. But that just indicates that the McCavery name has been associated with Lahinch Golf Club for almost a century, which is a remarkable family connection.
A remarkable family connection. There's one lovely story, I think, of Bill McCavery, he's Robert's father. Lahinch had a great senior cup team in the 50s and 60s, and they went down to Killarney for a practice round before the Munster final. Paddy Layden, Gregory Young, Brad Slattery, Austin Skerritt and Jerry McLennan. And they brought Bill with them, Bill McCavery, Robert's father, with them. And he surveyed the course, the greens, the tees, the fairways, the machinery. And on his way back, Brad asked him, "Well, Bill, what do you think of the great Killarney golf course?" And Bill said, "No course without the sound of the sea." That was Bill. He loved Lahinch, and that was the background that Robert was born into in 1941, and he was associated with the club from his youth. He went down with his father, learned how to make the wooden clubs. They made great wooden clubs. The McCavery woods were a famous feature of Lahinch from the 40s up to the 90s, and to this day they're still on sale in the golf shop. He was a great club maker and a great man. That time you'd break your driver or you'd break your irons, and you could bring it into Bill, and he'd fix it for you and he'd have it for you the next day. And Robert would have it for you the next day. They were great club makers. But Robert was a wonderful man. Did his work quietly, unostentatiously, and he had a wonderful wife, Anne, who helped him, develop the business, and had a wonderful business there. And there was a great welcome there for everybody, and his work was appreciated, and he was a great ambassador for the club, because all the American golfers that started coming to Lahinch, they went into the shop and they loved Robert and the old worldly nature of the place, and he was such a gentleman. And all the professionals that came to play Lahinch, they all came into Robert and they're photographed with Robert. Robert has a wonderful collection of photographs of Jim Furyk, Phil Mickelson, Zach Johnson, Davis Love, all those players that came. And one that Robert was particularly fond of was Christy O'Connor Jr. And Christy, whenever he'd come to the club, he would never walk in. He'd knock at the window first, just to tell him he was coming. But he was a great friend of Christy O'Connor Jr., who was a frequent visitor to Lahinch. But he was adored. And another great tribute to Robert, he introduced all the young golfers of Lahinch to the game of golf. He showed them the fundamentals of the game, the grip, the stance, and the basics of the swing. Jonathan Keane now would have started off with our South of Ireland champion, would have started off with Robert. So he gave a great service there as well.
Yeah, I think service is the key word, as you say, even up until that recent connection with Jonathan Keane, and spending over half a century, 54 years, with a connection to Lahinch Golf Club. And
when he opened the golf course, at 6:30 in the morning. He was in his golf shop, and he closed it at 10 o'clock at night, every day.
Those are some serious hours, aren't they?
Most serious hours, but he was so, and all done quietly and unostentatiously, and a great facet of Robert's life. He never was involved in trouble, never caused trouble, stayed away from all that trouble. He did his work brilliantly, but stayed out of trouble. He had a great facility for that.
He obviously loved golf, a deep love for golf, but he described his career as a pleasure, and he often spoke about the wonderful people he met along the way. Would it be fair to say, he didn't just seem to have a deep love for golf, and but for people as well, enjoying meeting people and chatting with them?
Oh, he loved people, and he had great knowledge. He had a great memory. He had a great memory of all that came, a great memory, and I know that he has given Brian McDonough, who's the course superintendent now, he gave him full details of all the work his father did with the Mackenzie course, because Brian has a fascinating, is a wonderful member of Lahinch course committee now. He's the course superintendent, but he's a wonderful interest in the history. But Robert gave him all the work that his father did with the Mackenzie course, and Robert had great attention to detail. He had a great recall of events. His mind was crystal clear right up to the end. But he was a great family man too. He was a great family man. He loved his wife Anne and his lovely children, Rachael and Robert. And his son-in-law, of course, was a great Tipperary hurler, Noel Sheedy, a lovely man. And his two lovely grandchildren, Robert cared for them deeply, and Sam and Eva, and they returned that care with that love with interest. He was a great family man. He was one of the greats of the Lahinch Golf Club.
How do you think future generations of golfers and members at Lahinch Golf Club will remember Robert?
Oh, I think they will remember him with great affection, because that service, 99 years, long association with the club, and hard-working. I can tell you, I remember Willie McCavery, his father, going home at lunchtime at 12:30. This is the background that Robert came into. He'd walk home across the course, and he'd go into the second green, and he'd take out a penknife, and he'd remove a few unwanted weeds in the second green, and go on his way up to his dinner, and come home on his way home. Then back down again to the club. He'd go in again, and he'd remove some unwanted weeds in the back of the second green. They were very diligent people, very hardworking and diligent.
Yeah, it sounds like he was still on duty, even though his thoughts had turned to lunch. His eye was never fully off the work. And
I said they will be remembered with great affection.
Well, look, it sounds like a wonderful man, and fondly remembered and well loved by not just members of Lahinch Golf Club, but the community there in Lahinch. And no doubt over his life he witnessed enormous changes in Lahinch as well. And to thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you very much, Alan.
For remembering Robert McCavery. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Alan.
And take care. That is Father Enda Glynn, Lahinch Club historian, remembering the late Robert McCavery, whose funeral mass takes place today. And our condolences to his wife, children and family and friends, and may he rest in peace.